Okay, so you guys had sent in some articles, and they're about this tragic accident that happened in Thailand.
Yeah.
With this young woman from Spain.
Right.
Blanca Ojanguren Garcia.
Yeah.
And she was killed by an elephant while she was bathing it at a sanctuary.
Yeah. A really, really sad story. And
yeah, it's incredibly sad.
It kind of, brings up a lot of questions about elephant tourism.
Definitely.
And conservation.
And, just the whole relationship between humans and elephants.
For sure.
So what were your first impressions, when you were looking through these articles?
Well, the first thing that kind of jumped out at me was the shrinking wild elephant population in Thailand.
Right.
But at the same time, the number of elephants in captivity has been booming.
Wow.
And that's really fueled by tourism.
Yeah, so let's start with the tragedy.
Yeah.
Can you give us the rundown of what happened in Thailand?
So this happened at the Koh Yao Elephant Care Center. Okay. And Garcia and her boyfriend were visiting from Phuket, and they were bathing an elephant together when it just suddenly reacted and gored her with its tusk. And it's just another stark reminder that elephant behavior can be so unpredictable.
Right.
Even when you think it's a controlled environment, it's fine.
Right.
We see all these pictures online.
Exactly. You see those pictures, tourists bathing elephants, and they look so peaceful.
Right.
And you just think
tranquil.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Right.
But obviously, reading through these articles, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Definitely.
So what's the background on elephant tourism in Thailand?
So it's a pretty complex evolution. Elephant tourism has been part of Thai culture and history for a long time. Mm-hmm. Originally elephants were used primarily for logging.
Okay.
But then as Thailand modernized, logging declined.
Yeah.
And tourism just became this new economic opportunity.
Right.
For people.
So it wasn't always like riding elephants in these close encounters.
Exactly. It wasn't always like that.
Okay.
Over time, the industry has shifted.
Right.
And now they offer all sorts of experiences, like bathing, feeding, even painting with elephants.
Wow.
But, while some people argue that these activities are harmless, there are growing concerns about the impact that they have on elephant welfare.
I have to admit, the part of me still thinks, well, what could be wrong with bathing an elephant?
Sure.
It seems pretty harmless, on the surface.
Right.
But can you talk about the specific concerns about elephant welfare?
So, first of all, you have to think, elephants are wild animals.
Right.
They're not meant to be in little enclosures.
Well, yeah.
They're used to roaming huge distances. Mm-hmm. And, being confined to small spaces and having to interact with tons of strangers every day creates enormous stress.
Wow.
And then, there's also the issue of training.
What?
A lot of captive elephants go through these really harsh training methods, to make them compliant for tourists, which is really sad.
Yeah. The articles mentioned World Animal Protection and their stance on elephant tourism.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about them and what they found?
So World Animal Protection is this international nonprofit.
Okay.
And they advocate for animal welfare.
Okay.
And they put out this report in 2020 on elephant tourism in Thailand.
Okay.
And it's pretty grim.
Oh, wow.
They're calling for an end to captive breeding. Right. And they highlight all these inadequate conditions that a lot of elephants have to face.
And they specifically mentioned that managing elephants is extremely high risk.
Yeah.
And that they're really not suitable for captive environments.
Yeah.
Especially when they're in direct contact with people. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a good mix.
So can you expand on that a little bit? What makes managing elephants so risky?
So elephants are incredibly intelligent.
Right.
They're very emotionally complex creatures.
Yeah.
They have these really intricate social structures.
Okay.
And they need a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to control them in a captive environment can be super challenging.
Right.
Even for experienced handlers.
Wow.
And as we saw with this tragedy,
things
can go wrong really quickly.
Yeah. It seems like there's this tough balance.
For sure.
Between Thailand's economic reliance on tourism.
Right.
And the ethical concerns around elephant welfare.
Absolutely. It's a really complicated issue.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, tourism provides jobs.
Right.
It provides income for a lot of communities in Thailand.
Right.
But, on the other hand, we have to ask ourselves, at what cost?
Yeah, at what cost to the animal?
To the animals, exactly.
Right. But the good news is that there are these more responsible alternatives
Okay, that's good.
emerging.
So what do those alternatives look like?
So there's this growing movement for observing elephants in their natural habitat.
Okay.
So like going on a safari or something like that, where you're not directly interacting with them.
You're just observing them.
Exactly. And also supporting organizations that are working to protect wild elephant populations and their habitats. That's another way to contribute positively.
Okay.
And if you're interested in visiting a sanctuary, just, really do your research. Make sure... Yeah, look for sanctuaries that are prioritizing the elephant's welfare over profit and entertainment.
Okay.
You want a place that lets elephants be elephants.
So what does all this mean for, just the average person?
Yeah.
What's the biggest takeaway from this?
Well, for me, it comes down to just being informed. Like, as travelers, we need to be aware of the potential harm behind seemingly harmless activities. It's about making conscious choices that support ethical treatment and conservation rather than, contributing to exploitation.
So it's not just about, getting that picture.
Exactly.
It's about, realizing that these are these intelligent, complex beings.
Absolutely.
And they deserve our respect.
For sure.
And protection.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about.
I hope so.
So to our listeners out there, we hope that this deep dive has given you a new perspective on elephant tourism.
Definitely.
Maybe it sparked some questions, or maybe it's inspired you to learn more about ethical sanctuaries. And conservation efforts.
For sure.
So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.